Are you actually self-respecting, or are you fucking your energy away by sleeping with lots of people? When to break your celibacy, it would be based on these things. Men, once they break up with somebody, it's encouraged. Just go out and fuck a whole lot of chicks. It'll just make you feel better. Does it though? Or does it create energetic entanglements that are not for your greatest service? Masturbation, is that making me celibate or not celibate? If you do personally have addictive patterns, then I would be saying, welcome, Wisdom Keepers, Soul Tribe, and New Earth Leaders to Soul Temple, your haven for growth and self-discovery. I am Blythe Langford, and I'm going to be your guide to helping you find yourself and your true purpose. Together, let's shift from feeling stuck and misaligned to living a life of purpose and pleasure and prosperity. This is a super controversial episode, FYI. We're talking about celibacy, preventing narcissism, codependency, and just my own personal beliefs. So take it with a grain of salt because it's not for everybody. Or is it? I don't know. The people that it's not for, you probably just haven't given it a go. But the point of this episode is to empower you sexually. And the usual way of doing things and what society tells us is right and what, our family and friends have been like commonly saying, rather than actually putting what is going to be of best service to us. So that's why I want to talk about celibacy and sexual detox. This is something that I have only come to experience, hilarious, since I have become awake. So prior to this, I was the complete opposite. If I'd broken up with somebody, I was out there fucking everybody. Let me tell you, I was very promiscuous as a teenager and as in my young 20s. And then when I had my grand awakening, I don't even know when that was, 25, 20, I don't know, something like that. Then everything shifted and changed because I could actually, through deep meditations, tune in and be like, whoa, this is out of alignment. Whoa, the body actually needs to cleanse after it's broken up with somebody. Whoa, I'm creating energetic entanglements inside of me with people that I don't even know, like, or trust. What the fuck? Right? And I feel like this is what's happening to so many people. Society tells us that, or our family has actually now been telling us, or our friends, it's like, once you break up with somebody, just go out there and just go fuck somebody, it's fine. Like, even me as a conscious person, one of my best friends was like, Blythe, it's been a long time since you've been with somebody. I think you should just go out and fuck some guys. I was like, holy moly, that is so not going to happen. Because for me personally, I'm only going to sleep with somebody that I think is going to be somebody that is going to be a life partner, because that is what is in alignment with me. I'm not just going to go out and just fuck people for the sake of fucking people, right? I've been there. I've done that. It doesn't make you happy and it energetically entangles you. So I'm here to talk about different ways that we can detox sexually. And then also I'm here to actually talk to you about your body as well. So the divine intelligence with your sexual consciousness, because your genitals have their own consciousness, right? Just like your heart center, your brain, your gut, they all have their own consciousness. So mind, heart, gut, and your genitals. So I want to talk to you about that because most people are like, what the fuck? That's so creepy and not even a thing. Yeah, it totally is. So I did a beautiful Tantra course. I've mentioned this before with an amazing woman named Tara Fisher. And went deep dive into male genitalia, female genitalia, and actually what happens with the genitals when a couple have been in a sacred union for a long period of time. Because their genitals have their own consciousness, then they actually start to get to know each other. And it doesn't happen in a short amount of time. It happens in 20 years plus. Once people have been sleeping together, once people have been in a loving relationship where they know, love, and actually trust and feel safe with each other, then the genitals will start to become in a divine union, and the whole relationship of the consciousness of their genitals actually changes. They get to know each other. So this is why I feel like there is such a big breakdown of the family unit, and why people aren't, once you get over somebody, it's like, oh, well, just fuck the relationship off, just find somebody new, get into a new relationship. And that's why I feel like people are just going from relationship to relationship, because there is this undercurrent, this underthread of society that is like, doesn't matter, just divorce them, go out with the next person, move on, evolve and grow. So that we never have this sacred union in relationships, so that we never experience our genitals actually coming together in this divine union, because I know that I want that in my life. Like when I started hearing about this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And it makes so much sense that, of course, we would be misguided and guided away from actually resolving and solving and getting to know somebody at the depths where our bodies actually are like becoming together, not as one, but as in a divine partnership. And that's what partnership really is. Like people talk about being in divine partnership, but what it actually means is the consciousness of our genitals and our bodies become so safe and so elevated and expanded, and the consciousness of us actually grows to a whole new level. Because I also feel a lot of people that I've worked with in the past is like, I got into a relationship with somebody, I even got married to somebody, and I hadn't even asked them what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives. And then it wasn't until after our kids were of a certain age that we were like, we're so different. We don't even actually want the same things. And so then it becomes like, well, can we grow together, or is this something that we end and we choose different paths? But I personally believe that every relationship is salvageable. I personally believe that every relationship, if we want to meet each other at great depths, then it doesn't matter if we have all of the same outlooks on life. As long as we want to be in a divine relationship where we're respectful of each other, then it can actually work and grow and evolve into the most beautiful sacred union. And I also believe that some relationships should come to an end as well if it's unhealthy and there is no respect between both parties. Anyway, went on tangent. Let's get back to it. We're talking about sexual detox. Bringing it back. So I personally believe when we end a relationship, there is nothing more sacred than energetically cleansing ourselves at a sexual level. Now, what I mean by that is once you've broken up with somebody, it's a space and time to, and I'm talking about a relationship that's probably been over 3 or 6 months, So something where it's all where you've been deeply in love with somebody or deeply in lust with somebody, that it is so, and sexual with somebody as well, that it is so important to have some time away from another relationship. So to create some space, because that is when we can have profound insights, profound healing in our patterns, in our triggers, in our dependency, in our narcissistic behaviors, how we responded through sacred masculine and sacred feminine, or juvenile masculine and juvenile feminine, where it was how we played out toxic roles. And so we can just really reflect and have this time to ourselves to actually see who we are at the core and who we want to be moving forward. And was that relationship actually, especially if it's a relationship that we've come out of where we're like, we didn't want to break up with the person where we were broken up with and we actually really want to be with that person, how can we reflect on all of these feelings and whether they are healthy and whether it was a divine union that we actually wanted to still be in, or whether it was an addictive pattern, whether it was more of a codependency that was filling a void within us rather than it being a divine union, a divine partnership that we actually were both involved in. Because so many of us, when we're broken up with, we're like, oh my gosh, I just want to be with that person. But when we actually think about the relationship and what it was and how we were in that relationship, it can be like, yeah, I want to be with that person because it helped me avoid my feelings and helped me to avoid these experiences that I'm actually growing through in my life. And it wasn't actually a partnership. It was potentially a codependent relationship, and you're probably the codependent, and you were with somebody that had more rejecting issues. I don't want to say narcissist. We all have narcissism inside of us, but maybe you were with somebody that was more narcissistic, or was somebody that was playing out a parental role and a wound within you that is unhealed. So it is so important when we break up with somebody that we have these times to reflect on the relationship and to reflect what is coming up within us, and people can be like, no, well, it's just sad when you break up with somebody. Yes and no. Like my last relationship that I had was the most beautiful divine connection on all levels and layers, physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychically. We were able to communicate when we weren't even together. It was a phenomenal relationship. And breaking up was not hard. it was so beautiful because I was so grateful for that relationship because it showed me what is possible in relationships. What I realized was that, if this is what this relationship is showing me now, I'm so excited for what's next to come because the next relationship will be even better because I've taken the time after we've broken up to not be with anybody else, to not have any energetics coming into my body so that my body and my genitals can actually detox out what was there from that relationship. And in that detox, like if you've ever done a detox, then you know. And if you haven't done a detox, then you're welcome to this information that every detox provides you so much insight and information. When we are celibate from whether it be sex or we take time away from food, then our body actually releases so much emotion and so much baggage that really isn't serving us. And when we go into celibate times, the body does the exact same thing. It provides us so much information and so much insight into that relationship, and it allows us to become initiated into the next step of our life. And I find this with a lot of my clients and a lot of my friends when they just go from one relationship to another, the next relationship doesn't get better than the last. Sometimes they can go through a series of really toxic relationships. And I personally believe through what I have witnessed, when people go from one relationship to the other, it's because they haven't taken that time to detox and be with themselves. The next relationship doesn't grow and evolve because you're not initiated into the next stage of who you are. Whereas people like myself that have taken time after each relationship and detox and been celibate, every relationship gets better. The next relationship gets better and better and better because they have got the initiations. They have got the great understanding of who they are, of what their body desires. They have got that energetic cleansing. There is no entanglements anymore so that their next relationship gets better and better. And now there are people out there that are poly and sleeping with all different kinds of people. And this information probably isn't for you. You've got your own way of doing life, and I respect you and I love you because you are also my friends. There is so many of my friends that are poly and in relationships like that, and that's completely different. I'm not poly, so I don't have that experience. I'm only talking from my own experience and from what I have seen with people that are monogamous in relationships. Now, you can think that this is just for women that I'm speaking to, and it's not. It's literally for men and women. What I have come to realize is it's almost like men, once they break up with somebody, it's encouraged. Just go out and fuck a whole lot of chicks, and then you're like, you'll figure out who you want to be with, or it'll just make you feel better. Does it though? Or does it create energetic entanglements that are not for your greatest service? The man that takes the time and space after he's broken up with somebody to energetically heal, to detox his body, to have time with himself, to learn what is growing through him, will actually then go into a divine union, a divine relationship with his next partner. And the next relationship will be what he's actually after in this world. And it will be that divine relationship, whether it's for a short period or a long period, it's irrelevant. It will be a beautiful partnership that they have been able to cultivate from celibacy and from sexual detox and being by themselves to actually know what their heart really desires, what their body really desires, and being able to find that in the next relationship that they really want to be in. And they'll be a lot more discerning with who they do and don't share a relationship with, who they have sex with. It'll be completely different. Whereas man number two, who goes around and will just like fuck anybody once he comes out of a relationship, just wants to like get it all done, get that energy out of himself, because that's a male energy, to penetrate, to get energy out. And so when they go and sleep with multiple women, they're literally just penetrating energy left, right, and center. And they're not really aware that they're actually on so many different layers. Like, let's say that they are projecting that energy out to a whole lot of different women, but then they're also creating entanglements, energetic entanglements within their body. And so they're never actually really clear about the relationship that they want to get into. And they'll end up just getting into a relationship with somebody just because they're energetically and sexually tired of fucking multiple women, and they're not even realizing that that's what's actually happening. They end up just going into a space where they're like, yep, the next one will do. And because they're energetically and sexually tired, they end up in a relationship that they might not be consciously or is for their highest and greater good. It just ends up being because of this penetrative tiredness. And so that's just something that I've come to realize. And it's generally the guys that are like, oh, I was with this chick and then like she fell pregnant. So now we're in a relationship and we're making it work and it's okay. Like compared to a man that's like, I took some time away from having relationships to figure out what I really, really yearned for. And now I'm in a relationship with a woman and we are, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. And we are doing life together. Like I'm healed, she's healed. Neither of us are codependent. Neither of us are narcissistic. And we're growing and evolving together. And it is beautiful. And I love it. And I am in love with this woman like I never thought love could actually be. Like we just turn each other on the more time that we spend with each other. And our sex and our lovemaking is like we have never experienced before. And the amount of years that we're together, it gets better and better and better. Rather than the man number two, where it's like we make it work. It's really great sometimes, So it's just deciding like what in life it is that you actually really want, because man number two, and it's the same with women number two, when you're going out and fucking, then getting into a relationship, then I find that they're the couples that generally yearn for something else in their relationship. They're the couples that will generally, be in poly relationships that yearn for other people to come into their relationship because there is something that's lacking in their relationship, and they will generally go into, having multiple partners. So those people will generally become swingers and have all of these other things outside of their relationship to satisfy their relationship. And there is nothing wrong with that. It would be, for me, just a reflection is like, how did we go into that relationship? Were we sexually detox? Were we celibate? And this is definitely a part of our relationship that is expansive and we love it. And I'm not talking about that. That's totally awesome. Like that's deep inner knowing of who you are and what you guys want from your relationship. And I fucking support and respect that. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about people that have been around like just fucking for the sake of fucking because they haven't had the capacity or the bandwidth to be by themselves, and they end up in this next relationship unfulfilled, and they do these extra things because they're deeply yearning for something else and for somebody else, but they're stuck in a relationship rather than have chosen a partnership. So that's totally what I'm here for, and that's what I'm sharing about. You might be thinking, well, what about masturbation, Blythe? Is that making me celibate or not celibate? Great question. Great question. Because that also depends on the person, and it depends on what ideology you believe in or you want to try out. I would say give it a go both ways. For me personally, I can only say that when I am speaking to women about this, or when I am speaking to men about this, I take it as a case-by-case basis. Because if you're being celibate, but then you're masturbating a few times a day, then I don't believe that is celibacy. I believe that is self-pleasuring and just replacing one with another. And that can be you still being in an addictive pattern. If you do personally have addictive patterns, then I would be saying, yeah, don't masturbate for a period of time and give yourself that space. Or just bringing in masturbation like just a few times, like if you were masturbating like 5 times a day, then bring in masturbation maybe twice a week or once a week as a pleasure activity where you're using that as a gifting process to yourself rather than just a way of getting off and avoiding your feelings and avoiding being with the emotions and the expressions that are coming up with the insights. Because if you are just like masturbating all the time, then you're still choosing an addictive pattern like numbing out. It's the same as drinking. It's the same as gambling. It's the same as sexting. It's the same as shopping. It's the same as just being on your devices. It's a way of numbing out the feelings that are there. I don't believe that celibacy needs to be without masturbation. I just believe it needs to be on a case-by-case basis for the individual, and making sure that it's a time of loving the self rather than a time of avoiding the self. So it's just something for you to be really aware of. And, like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I've been celibate for quite a long time, And I go through periods where there is no masturbation for periods of time just because. And then there's periods of time where there is a lot of masturbation because it's like, this is really, it's beautiful. And I'm working with my body, and I'm also using masturbation as a manifestation tool, not only for a partnership or anything like that, but I literally use masturbation as a tool for manifesting things in, for bringing sexual energy in to amplify the visions that I have for my life, for myself, for this world. I literally use that sexual energy as a manifestation tool. So I'm not against masturbation or anything like that, but I am about, you know me, Capricorn, Leo, Virgo, very heady and logical and elemental. So it's like, how can I use this sexual energy for what it is that I want to create in this world? I use it as a creativity energy because that's exactly what it is. It's for creation. So if I'm not with a man, if I'm not in a relationship, how can I use this energy still to create? Because it's a creation that comes through me to express into the world. So when you are figuring out when to break your celibacy, it would be based on these things. You will have had great insight from your sexual detox. Now, I personally think that it takes 6 months to have a sexual detox from a relationship. So 6 months' time with yourself and not having sex with anybody else. It does not mean that you can't be in a relationship with somebody, but it might mean that you just don't have sex with that next person. However, I personally believe that celibacy is time away from another person and from a relationship so that your body can energetically release from that. And that it's also when you know the kind of relationship that you want to be in, because then you can actually assess a person and be like, this is the kind of relationship I want to be in. What kind of relationship do you want to be in? And if it's a match, then fuck, it might be time to break the celibacy. But if it's like, I just want to fuck people and I don't even want all these things that you want in your life, then it's like, this person isn't a match. Don't fuck them. Don't be with them. Choose somebody else that's going to be in alignment with what it is that you actually want. Because remember, we're energetic beings. We're on a planet that's based on energy. Everything is energy. So if you're saying to the world, I want this relationship, and then you're fucking these people that are not in alignment with the relationship that you want, then the universe is going to give you more of what you're actually doing, not what you're actually wanting. So don't do those things that you don't want, because you're creating an energy around that is drawing in more of these things that you don't want. Stay strong, stay true to what it is that you absolutely want, and you will get more of that. Now, even if you haven't just come out of a relationship, but you are single, then celibacy can be something that you can look into, because you might have been masturbating to porn. You might have been having one night stands. You might have been doing some kinky random shit that's just helping you get off, right? Well, then yes, I would 100% try out celibacy and try out not masturbating for a period of time and working with your energy in different ways. How could you do that? Through exercise, through creativity, through creating in another way, right? And just knowing that when these feelings are coming up, are you avoiding the feelings that are coming up by just needing to blow your load in some way, right? So working with that energy to create, because remember, it's creator energy. And so once you can start to bring your creator energy on side, you will be unstoppable with what you want to create in this world. You'll be unstoppable with what you want to birth into this world. And also using that creativity energy to think about the relationship that you really want to bring in, like spending time on that. Yeah, so if you are single and you have been single for a while, then a sexual detox, then celibacy can be profound in what it is that you want to birth into the world. Celibacy is amazing for single people. Now, if you're in a relationship, I don't know. I don't think it's really worth it. Like, unless your fucking is just for the sake of fucking, then yeah, have a period of time without having sex and make sure that the sex that you have is like scrumptious. Then absolutely do that. Make time for it. If you've been in a relationship for a long time, it's your responsibility to have divine sex, divine lovemaking. And it's your responsibility to make the time for that. The same that you need to make the time for making your kids breakfast in the morning. It's as important, right? Like, being in a relationship with somebody is a responsibility, and it's up to us to be responsible for everything that we choose. Like, we get to choose that, and people can be like, fuck you, Blythe, you don't have kids, you don't know how hard it is. Correct, I don't. I've only had like businesses and teams and been obsessed with work. So it's been for me and family and friends and all of those things and a farm and 1,200 fruit trees. It's like, how can we prioritize those things rather than just fitting them in? How can you prioritize your lovemaking so you're not just fitting it into your life, you know? Because when you can come from it from that space, then it is as important as drinking water and you don't go dehydrated. It's just how important it is, I believe, in a relationship is lovemaking is so important. And celibacy is equally important when you're in between relationships. Thank you so much for joining me on Soul Temple. If this episode spoke to your soul, I would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And don't forget, please subscribe on your favorite platform too. Don't let your journey end here. Connect with me and my like-minded community of beautiful souls at Blythe Langford on all social platforms. I look forward to diving with you deeper on your journey.